Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chief Chat. What is up, my exchange family from all over the world, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chief Chat. My name is Chief Master Sergeant Kevin Osby, and I'm your Senior Enlisted Advisor for the Army and Air Force Exchange Service. Before we get started with our guest today, I would like to introduce my lovely co-hosts, Kiana Holloman and Emily Zarsk. How y'all doing, ladies?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back in Dallas for a change. You know, I've been on the road like crazy, but it's good to be back in the building and see your wonderful faces. But yeah, we got a great set of guests today. Super excited. So without further ado, Kiana, please introduce today's guests.
Today's guests are members of the Eli Young Band who have earned a Grammy nomination and won the ACM Song of the Year award in 2012 for Crazy Girl. They recently released their 6th studio album, Love Talking, and are visiting with us during a brief break in a national tour. Please give a warm Chief Chat welcome to Mike Eli and John Jones.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Mike and John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure.
So we'll start off with Mike. Where are you joining us from today?
Well, I actually right outside of Dallas. I'm in in the South Lake area, Fort Worth area.
Okay. So you're right around the corner.
Yeah, I know. I could have just came into the office.
Yeah, you should have just came up. And John, How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm right by DFW Airport. I'm Grapevine, Colleyville area. So we're all like, half an hour from each other right now. That's the way of the world, though. We'll just do this on video chat.
Man, we could have met at Starbucks and had a whole interview at Starbucks or something. I don't know. But thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and we'll kick off this great interview.
Thanks
so we'd like to start off by talking about your current tour schedule, which is taking you to more than 50 states all over the country. So how do you find the stamina for such a schedule, especially on some of the hotter summer dates?
I don't know if you ever really find the stamina. I think that you just kind of do it. I mean, I know that festival season it gets hot anyway. Obviously, this summer is kind of extra hot, but I think that for us, we just love being on stage, and so even if we're, being from Texas, one of our talents is sweating, so we can sweat anywhere. So I think we're just used to it.
We were in Philadelphia a couple days ago for a show, and their heat actually made national news. And there was someone on the street talking about like how hot it was there. I was like, really? We're from Texas.
This is like
this
a fall
feels
day.
Like a nice fall day. What are you talking about? But it can be a grind. It's we kind of find like we tour most weeks out of the year. We don't like go out for months and months at a time, but we're usually gone pretty much every week unless there's a family thing going on or holidays. But like 3 shows a week is kind of our sweet spot. Anything like 4, 5, 6 over that, it really gets harder and harder to gear up every night. But you kind of have to realize you're there to entertain, you're there to do a job, and so you got to kind of find it within yourself. And with the 4 of us, we kind of sometimes have to bring each other up to put our game face on before we go on stage.
And you guys are also a part of Operation Pizza Taco with Lee Brice September 2nd at Fort Hood. What can you guys tell us about that?
Best name ever, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a fun night. Lee Brice was a co-writer on Crazy Girl, which was one of our big hits. And so we have known Lee for a long time and written a lot of songs with Lee on a few records. And so it's just going to be a really fun night. I think that anytime that we can get on stage and honor our troops and their families is such a huge honor for us, and to be able to play our songs for them is just it's just going to be a really fun night, especially to be able to spend it with Lee as well, one of our good friends. So
that's awesome. So I've been told by multiple people that Crazy Girl, they believe that song was written by me, but I mean, I don't think so.
You can have it, girl. All you.
Yeah. Just kidding. Sorry, Chief.
No. So Operation Pizza Taco. Listen, there's not too many foods better than pizza and tacos. So I mean, that's already an operation that I'm all for and all about. And matter of fact, I will be down there for Operation Pizza Taco in Fort Hood. So definitely looking forward to meeting you all in person since we're going to be in the same area.
Yeah,
But this
Right
isn't
on.
the first. Yeah, this isn't the first exchange sponsored event you've been performed at. Another great food, Wingapalooza. You did some events a few years ago. Can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, we've done a handful. We went to Germany, we went to Okinawa, and we went to South Korea, and all three were just awesome events. Those were some of our best experiences, not only playing for troops, but getting to play for troops overseas, and really getting, I guess, a greater understanding and appreciation of what the exchange does. There's one guy in our crew who, like, any food that looks anything out of his very small wheelhouse, he would not eat. And so I think it was in Okinawa, the guy who runs our lights, Dave, we got to the exchange, and he just, like, his jaw dropped because he saw Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and, like, all the things he'd been craving. He literally went, it was like a taste of home. So I think we totally understand that in that way.
He
And
was
went
very
to every
worried
single
going into
restaurant.
that trip.
He filled up that day. Like, he had a tray full of food from, like, every single place. It was amazing.
Well, listen, you just called out one of our mantras is bringing a taste of home to our folks that are overseas or in contingency locations. And like you said, there's a bunch of finicky eaters out there. And so when you go into these different countries, having a Taco Bell or Burger King or Pizza Hut or something like that, it relieves a lot of stress when it comes to going over there. But I probably ask people to try to expand their palate past Taco Bell sometimes and try something new for change.
What I learned and really appreciated was, like, the lengths that, like, talking to the folks from Pizza Hut, the lengths that they go to, like, in the supply chain, to get not only, like, here's a pizza and it says Pizza Hut on it, but, like, these are the ingredients that we have everywhere else, and this is going to taste, not just look like, but taste like exactly what you are used to from home. It's a really impressive feat. It's definitely on some of the smaller bases and some of the more remote places that the lengths they go to make it happen. It's been fun to learn about that whole side of everything.
Well, we just
Somebody has a logistics degree, I'll say.
Oh yeah. No. And we just appreciate you for getting out there and going to those locations, bringing another taste of home to other locations with your music. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about the new album, Love Talking. I'll say my favorites are Lucky for Me and Break Up in a Bar. I wish I had been broken up with in a bar before. Maybe the breakup wouldn't be so terrible, right? But, but you said in interviews that the group wanted to make an album that found the positive side of the past 2 years. So what were the challenges of making uplifting music during a difficult time?
Well, you had to write a lot of songs. Over the course of 2020 and 2021, all of us wrote over 100 songs. And so I think that it was one of those things that we really wanted to make sure that we weren't just focusing on the things that we were feeling and the things that we were going through. Even though a lot of those songs got written, it made it a little bit easier to pick songs for this record because we wanted to really focus on the positive side of what came out of that experience for us. And I think that everyone needs that positive thing right now. I think that there's just so much negativity in the world that we just are all clinging and wanting, to find that positive side. So I think that's really what our focus was on this record. For us going through all of that, spending that time with our families and kind of taking a break from the road and having the time to be creative. It really was a moment where, it was bittersweet because, it was one of those things that it was a break that we didn't know we needed. And we knew that, that there was something good coming out of it.
And Mike, you've also said you've written 150 songs since 2019. just a casual 150 songs, no big deal. How did you narrow that down into the 7 tracks you wrote or co-wrote that made it into the album? And will we hear more of those other songs in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think 150 is pushing it. I think that's like maybe a collective idea of what we were choosing from, but we definitely, me personally, I wrote around 100, a little over 100, and I think that it was because we were focusing on what we wanted to find positively for this album, that made it easier. And I was really kind of close to all these songs, and so I really relied on the other guys to help me figure out on my end what I should root for and what I shouldn't. I think that a lot of the songs I think will be perfect for other records. I think that because of clinging and trying to find that creative process that we didn't get to have because we weren't playing any shows. I really wanted to write a lot of different things, and so there were songs that wouldn't have necessarily fit this record, but they will fit another record. I know, a more organic record or a more rootsy record or something like that, and so I don't know. But it made it easier with the guys. The guys helped me sift through them pretty easily.
I will say it's also tricky because go ahead.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
Oh, it's kind of tricky because Mike writing so many songs and knowing how passionate he is about every song. So you don't want to step on any toes, but I feel like we're pretty good at trusting each other and trusting each other's instincts. And there were a lot of these songs that made it on there that Mike was, very adamant about. And credit to the songwriter. They know the song inside and out, and sometimes they can see where the vision is and where the song can get. And I feel like we did our best to get there in the studio.
That's nice of you to say, but I do get it wrong quite a bit.
Listen, you guys. So you guys have been together for more than 20 years. This kind of all started back at the University of North Texas, is what I hear. And so I had the unique opportunity to interview Air Supply in person here in Dallas, and they talked about how they've been together for like the past 45, 50 years, and they've never had an argument ever. And I'm like, man, that's a long time to know somebody and never have an argument, never. So I won't ask you if you guys got in an argument over the past 20 years, but what's the secret to your longevity of keeping the band together for that long?
I'm skeptical of that, saying no arguments in 40 years.
Liars.
There's something broken there in a way if you don't have some kind of argument. Like there's things that just sometimes it's okay for things to be left unsaid, but there's definitely times when it's okay to have an argument. We always try to argue like brothers, I guess. We've always seen this as a family, and we started as friends, so that was like as our jumping off point. That was helpful. But we always have an understanding, like we're going to fight, we're going to get through this and figure it out and be better, strengthen the family through it, and try to get on the same page. We're not always exactly on the same paragraph. We're at least in the same book. And that's, if you can start there, but we're 4 stubborn guys. And in a way, we're stubborn with each other to make it work, and I think we just have that mentality of, come hell or high water, we're gonna stick this out together and figure it out, because end of the day, we get to play for a living, and it's a lot of fun, and there's always frustrating times, and there's the ups and the downs, but we get to ride this thing together, and it's overall it's been an absolute blast for the past 21 years now.
Yeah, I didn't want to call them out. I didn't want to call anybody out but they've been on the record saying that they haven't gotten in an argument in over 40 some years, which, man, that's
amazing if it's true.
Yeah.
So country music fans really connect with your songs. What's one of the most touching reactions you've heard from a fan?
I mean, we've been really lucky to have a lot of fans that really attach themselves to our music. Anybody that gets a tattoo of our lyrics on their body, a permanent tattoo, is
Wow.
That's dedication. But and sometimes when they name their kids after one of our songs or one of us, it's that kind of gets you pretty good. You know what I mean? But I really do love it when people tell us like a moment in their lives was pivotal and our song had something to do with it, whether it was, around their wedding or if it was just that moment where, I think one couple came to us recently and he was saying, when you were playing Guinevere one night at one of your shows, that was kind of one of the moments I looked at my wife and I knew at that time that we were in love before we were married, and so those things that those stories that everybody shares, or somebody's with, even if it breaks your heart, they tell us that they went and they followed their dreams and they they built this company and yada yada because of our song. It's like it feels pretty good.
And so Guinevere is actually one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite
Thank you.
lyrics ever is she's got a handful of records where when she needs to land. Sorry if I butchered that. But I mean, I've had feels with that song since I was like 18 or 19 years old. Every time you guys came to this little school and college station, I spent all my college allowance on you guys, and my mom thanks you so much because I ate bagel bites and saw Eli Young Band. that's how I used your money. But another amazing song, Love Ain't, and for the video for Love Ain't, featuring Wounded Warrior Taylor Morris and his wife Danielle, was particularly moving. Tell us the story behind that video and your partnership with the Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that it was kind of an organic moment. We started searching for an idea for the song, and when we were brainstorming, it's like what is the ultimate love story? What has anybody seen anything that just is completely what that's giving you chills that can tell you exactly what love is, and I think somebody saw some of the footage from Taylor and Danielle Morris and their homecoming, and when we all watched it, we knew right away that this was the perfect story to tell. Even though this story that goes along with the lyrics with the song isn't necessarily telling that story, it's telling you, that you got to know what love is, and if you want to know what love is, look at their story, look at Taylor and Danielle Morris, because that is absolutely I still get chills like right now when the footage came across the screen. It gave me chills. I think that they are two incredibly amazing people, and they are like, I mean, you meet them today, and even with that what's come along with their heartache and everything, that their story and everything, they're famous, and they're so humble, and so they're just two very beautiful people. And I think that their love story is something that we should all shoot for. And so Wounded Warrior Project, when we were talking to them about teaming up with them to continue telling their story, it was such a great partnership, and we've always loved doing working with them. For us to be able to work with the troops and to highlight how much the troops and the families need. They need help sometimes, even after they come home. And I think Wounded Warrior Project really, does the job. And I think there are obviously a lot of folks out there that really believe it and believe in it. And so it's been such a treat and such an honor to be a part of that. And then to know that our video had something to do with helping, the troops and their families.
So yeah, we appreciate your passion for the military community, and now all four band members have family members who are either serving or have served in the military. Can you kind of tell us about those connections that you guys have with the military community?
Yeah, the biggest connection that I have in the military, my uncle, Jimmy Morrell, was a two-star general in the Air Force and served in Vietnam, came back. He had a lot to do with the space program. And there's like a command center in Florida that's named after him. But he had a lot to do with the space operations and the rockets and all of that before Space Force. But back in the day when I was a kid, he was in Colorado Springs, and he was, a big higher up, and he took me as a kid on this really awesome tour of the Air Force Academy. And I left with all the posters of all the planes, and they were on my wall. And there was a big period of my life where that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to go, fly planes, and that was probably about the time Top Gun came out. So it all makes sense looking back, until I realized what your grades have to be to make it into the academy. And and I remember him telling me like how meticulously you had to make the bed every morning, and I think maybe that was something I was struggling with at that point in my life, or like
Grades and making your bed? What?
I know, and early mornings it was like, oh, maybe musician, but yeah.
What they didn't tell you is that musicians have to wake up a lot earlier, a lot more often than you think. So,
When you become a parent, it doesn't matter; you just have to.
Yeah. My both of my sisters married Marines. They both enlisted in the early 2000s. So both of them, were knee deep in a lot of stuff. And so seeing them and what their families went through, for me, obviously that's my family, but watching them go through that was very hard sometimes, especially after they came home after a few of their tours. And so, it was, I was always passionate about supporting our military, but I think after watching what they went through, I think that, it really drove me to do what I can as a songwriter, singer, dude in a band, to do what I can to help in any way possible, especially with the families and seeing what they go through.
My brother-in-law is also retired Army, and I'm going to mention him just because on my screen right here, it's got a calendar reminder. His birthday is tomorrow, so happy birthday tomorrow, Raleigh. But I remember the first time I met him in college. He was in between tours overseas in the Middle East, and he was like G.I. Joe meeting his younger sister's boyfriend who played in a band at the time, and he had this serious chat with me like this whole music thing, it's real cute, but he was very, very military about it, like, but what are your real plans and all of that. And we love to tell that story these days because he came around to me, and we're best of friends now. But it's been interesting to watch his kids grow, and after his life after the military, and he had a great career in the military, and it really shaped his future, and the work that he does now is not for the military, but the skills that he learned, and it kind of has directly transferred into his current career, which is pretty awesome.
And I do have to say too, my nephew is at A&M at Texas A&M in the program there, so he'll be once he's finished with his stuff there, he'll be serving too. So.
So smart nephew.
He's in the ROTC program?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, John, you just got a lot of people changing their career choice because to be a musician, you don't need good grades and you don't have to make up a bed in the morning. So I think
yeah, no, he was lying to himself.
So the Exchange's motto is "We go where you go," and that could be y'all's motto too, as far as your support for the military goes. So you even performed in Thule, Greenland, the United States military's northernmost installation, as well as some other remote locations. Can you tell us what you learned about the troops from those experiences?
We learned a lot going to Thule. We actually didn't get to perform. That's one of those interesting stories where we spent a lot of time trying to get there, and there's only like one plane in and out, and because of weather, we ended up landing somewhere else in Greenland at this other remote. Wasn't military base, but I think it was at one point.
It used to be, yeah. And so we were there for 2 days waiting for the plane to be able to take off to go to Thule. And then once we got to Thule, we were there because the thing is the military schedule does not stop. If if something gets out of whack, it keeps going. And so, when we flew in, everything kind of, there were still things for them to do. And so it's like, well, the show cannot go on. So, but everybody's coming, and we're going to do a big meet and greet, and everybody's going to hang out. And then we jump back on the plane to go back to the mainland. So it was a whole lot of time to sit there and hang out for a few minutes. Maybe it was like an hour.
We got to see the Northern Lights. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it was a big resupply plane with a couple of seats in there for passengers. So the plane had very little to do with us. So we were the very least important things there. So we got to at least get off and shake some hands and take some pictures and then hop back on the plane. But on that same USO tour, we went to, is it Andrew, what was the base there? Mike, do you remember the name? Down in the Bahamas, like.
That was a few ago.
Yeah, I've slept since then. But this little tiny, was it a small little naval base right there on the beach?
Yeah,
it was like totally surreal and blew my mind of what a military base would look like, because it was definitely right there on the beach and kind of felt like, I don't know, Jimmy Buffett could step in at any moment, but also had a military feel to it. It was very, very surreal. So going from Thule to there in the Bahamas could not have been
except for the biting flies. There were some flies
that were brutal.
Man, ran from them. Scary.
No, you couldn't ask for two bigger extremes from going to Thule, Greenland to the Bahamas. Like that's like night and day, literally.
Yeah, it really was.
It was. Yeah.
But that's a big fun part of this job is we, like, on one side it would be nice we got to stay in the same place for more than a day, but on the other side we get to see our whole country and really get to experience what all the different regions have to offer, and I think you're not going to find four guys that have a better appreciation of everything this country has to offer, because it's so diverse and so beautiful, and we've had the opportunity in the past 20 years to experience, and then also to get to go overseas and experience some other places, especially where our troops are serving.
The comment feed, and I wanted to just jump in really quickly into the comments and read a few and a couple questions. So Chris said that he saw you guys in Germany. Great show. Connor says, thanks for showing your support for the military community. Sonia says, love their music. They're always doing local shows around Texas, but sadly still haven't had the chance to see them. Sonia, I hope you do soon. Yeah. Ryan says, Eli Young Band, I saw y'all back in the day at Billy Bob's. Welcome to Chief Chat. And that's like yes. And I've seen you there a few times too. I wonder if Ryan and I were there at the same time. And then Marisa is asking, who are your musical idols?
John Jones.
No, I just wanted to go first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. I think for me, like growing up, I've loved so much. Don Williams was one of my ultimate favorites when I was younger. He was like one of my dad's favorites, and so I think I just kind of clung to a lot of the way he sings. Alabama, growing up, Bruce Springsteen, love George Strait, of course,
John Jones. Paul Simon was a really big influence on me, like as a songwriter. Way out in left field, a band called 311, which is from my hometown in Omaha, Nebraska, that has been going for like 30 years, no lineup changes. I love especially like bands that like play together and record together and just experience life together. I think that's really inspiring and something we've really tried to model after.
That's awesome. And then we do have one more, but this came in as a text message from my mother. And she said, happy to see you're talking to the band. You chose to go see their concerts over studying. I guess my dollars worked out after all. So we'll end it with that one.
That's fantastic.
Hi, Mom.
You just never know.
Yeah.
It's funny. All four of us met in college and all graduated. I will admit I missed a few classes because of playing shows late at night. But yeah, we all graduated together, and then we're able to kind of elevate this to the next level of getting on the road more and trying to take it a little more seriously. Um, but that's the great thing about college is it's a great time to experience all those things in life, and sometimes it means going to class, and sometimes it doesn't.
I was always there, Mom. I was always there.
No, the Eli Young band was an elective, Mom. It's an elective. Yeah.
Exactly.
One credit.
So y'all are no strangers to Facebook Live. You've chatted with Jimmy Buffett and Blue October. You've done game nights, stream performances, and more via Zoom on Facebook Live. So how has that means of communication kind of changed the game for the band? I know we were kind of forced into it when COVID first started.
Yeah, so we went like 4 or 5 months without playing a single show, which was we've never gone more than a month in 21 years. So, and in that time, that's when when COVID hit, we were in Florida. I think we were playing a show with Leonard Skinner there in Florida, and then there was this whispering of this COVID. It just seems like like it was a different world. It's so long ago. But we got home and everything shut down, and we went like 4 months without seeing each other, which was very surreal. So if you tuned in to watch us on Zoom, that was actually four guys who were friends that missed each other, just hanging out and catching up. We didn't really communicate other than just like via email. Other than that, so that was like really fun and very cathartic and something we needed. But I'll let Mike talk about this for us. Like you usually have to go up to Nashville to write songs or have songwriters come down here and do the weekend or do a retreat. But that all changed and really led to Mike's being able to write so many songs in his creative outlet over COVID.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Zoom game changed everything. I think that being able to do this interview right now and have this opportunity is huge. And I think that one of the things that came out of COVID was for folks like us to be able to spend more time with our families and to be able to do stuff like this and work while we're at home and be able to go downstairs and hang out with our kids after. I think that one of the things that folks don't realize about our job is that the hardest part is the traveling. A lot of times we would have to travel more than 2/3 of the year, and when you have kids, like when you have kids, that schedule just is impossible. And so one of the advantages that came out of COVID was being able to Zoom and to be able to conference and songwrite over video chat or do interviews like this. So a lot of times I think that we were taking so many trips back and forth to Nashville, that it takes up and eats up a lot of time. And so it really has been a blessing that came out of such the hard time for so many folks.
Yeah, there's an old saying, and I'm sure I'll butcher this, but it's something like, you don't pay me to get on stage because I do that for free, but you're paying me to get there. And sometimes that's how it feels with the travel. So it's been really nice. But on the flip side, now that we're able to kind of be back in the world, we are so grateful that people have missed live music and still have a thirst to come out and see it, because this doesn't translate. Music playing on video doesn't work the same. You don't get that same feeling, and there's definitely something about being there and sharing that experience and sharing that energy that we get at a live show that you can't recreate on video.
Yeah, I think we interviewed a couple other bands, more along the soul line. Well, we did it kind of when COVID first kicked off, and we were doing a lot of Zoom calls with this Chief Chat thing, and talked to a bunch of bands, and they would always tell us about them performing on Facebook Live or any type of stream, and you're playing, but you don't get a reaction. Like there's no reaction coming in, because you can't read the chat, and you can't do all this other stuff. You maybe see a little hearts going up in the air or floating around, but it's just not the same. So I can imagine just feeling that energy from the crowd from a live band it's so much more fulfilling.
Yeah, you got to have that experience.
So, what's ahead for Eli Young Band, and where can fans go to find out more about your work and your causes?
Oh, follow
Well,
us on all the socials. It
yeah.
feels like that's, I mean, honestly, that's the best way to keep up with us and where our shows are going to be and kind of what we're doing day to day. And that's the best outlet for us to kind of highlight some of the causes that we're partnering with and what we've got going on. But we're just enjoying promoting this record, and we've got a full tour going through the end of the year and starting to book dates for next year. So this train's not slowing down.
Yes.
What he
Follow
said.
Eli Young on their socials, and also follow Chief Chat on our socials. So for our Chief Chat viewers, you can find this episode as well as past Chief Chat episodes on YouTube and Spotify. Please join us on 2 August at 1100 Central Standard Time as we chat with author, screenwriter, and film director David Koepp. And also, we will be talking to the stars of Enlisted, Drew Anthony and Justin Graber, on 9 August at 1100 Central Standard Time. So, Mike and John, it's been such a pleasure having you with us today. We definitely appreciate just you all taking time to speak to our audience and our military community. But like I said, you all have been invested in the military community for a very, very long time, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to bring, like I said, bring a taste of home to wherever we are throughout this world. So, thank you so much for that.
Well, it's an honor. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you,
We
Chief.
appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Kiana. And we can't wait for Operation Pizza Taco.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just had to say it one more time. I just had to throw that.
Yeah.
But yes, we will be definitely in the house at Operation Pizza Taco. Looking forward to meeting you all in person. But you guys are amazing. The band, tell the band I said what's up, and thank you so much for what y'all do for our military community. If you guys don't mind hanging on until after the live chat, just to kind of say our formal goodbyes. But just once again, thank you for your contribution to the world, because a lot of folks like to thank us for our service, but we need everybody in this world to make it a better place, and you all are doing that through your art form, and you got Emily up here, not going to class, but she's still graduated and super successful, and Kiana wants to get broken up in a bar, so we'll make sure that happens next time.
I'm just so glad we're influencing everyone today.
But thank you so much,
you,
and we appreciate you, and Chief Chat out.